When I was 19, I built my first successful business that brought in $70,000. And this is the story. But first, let me give you a little bit of context to help understand it. Throughout school, I loved business and I loved making money, despite doing pretty badly in my business exam. However, it was determined by my business teacher that I was not cut out for a life of an entrepreneur. She tried to hold me back a year and told me I could do either that or I could leave the school.
Bye-bye then.
She brought myself, my dad, and the head teacher in for a meeting to let us all know that I clearly wasn't cut out for business, and she was adamant that I redo the year. As well as that, she said when I finished school that I should just go out and get myself a normal job. Honestly, I was shocked to hear a teacher saying this to a 17-year-old kid, mainly because he doesn't do so well in exams. Anyway, after a bit of fighting back and forth, we agreed I could continue and do my last year of school. However, I was forced to drop business studies as clearly the schooling system did not think I was cut out to study business. After finishing high school, my friends and I took a year abroad to study in Israel. I met a lot of new people and made a lot of new good friends. However, after about 5 months into my year abroad, I found an online course. A course that showed you how to make money with Facebook advertising. I had no idea if it would work. It just sounded like an incredible opportunity, and against everyone's advice, I left studying, came home to see if I could make this work. And it was an even bigger deal to leave early. My brother was the only one who thought it was a good idea. Everyone else, family, friends, teachers, thought it was ridiculous and one of the dumbest decisions that I could make. This kind of spurred me on to prove them wrong. And that's exactly what I did. After coming home, I immediately took this online course, Facebook Ads Cracked by Donald Wilson. It cost me $297, which nowadays seems like nothing for an online course. I had never taken an online course or even heard of an online course before. This was a totally new world for me. And unfortunately, at first, it didn't work. The idea was good, the process on how to do it was good, but I just wasn't making any money with it. I was spending money on advertising, but I wasn't getting enough money in return to actually make a profit. As well as that, I was getting increasingly lonelier as I was the only one that came back. All my friends stayed abroad, stayed studying, and it was just me on my own. And what's even worse is, as well as that, I was proving everyone right. I was failing, and I didn't know what to do. That is until I came across print on demand, and combining the Facebook ads course that I took with the print on demand business model, a surefire way to get sales. In case you don't know, print on demand is basically when you create a design and put it on a piece of clothing, anything really. And what happens is you get a sale, and the company that you've partnered with, the print on demand company that you've partnered with, will package that item, will print the design on the item and send it out to the customer. So you don't have to have any inventory. There's no startup costs for you because you just pay based on the sales that you get. They take a cut of that sale. It's a pretty cool business model. Now, as for the new idea, the brainwave, it went like this. It started with downloading what was called a scraping tool, something that definitely does not exist anymore. It would be a total PR nightmare for Facebook if something like this existed. What this tool allowed me to do was create a custom audience by downloading all of the Facebook users and separating them into specific name audiences. Now, that probably sounded like gibberish, but basically this tool allowed me to make a custom audience of anyone with the same surname. So I could target 100,000 Morrises in America, 70,000 Taylors, 40,000 Richards. I can't actually remember how big any of those audiences were. We're talking 7 years ago, but now you get it. After having all of these different audiences ready to go, it was now time to make a few different designs specifically for each audience. So that's when I started making t-shirts like this and this. And I didn't have to worry about targeting specific genders or interests, because all I had to really worry about was targeting specific locations, so America, and a specific age, so anyone over the age of 18, and then the custom audience would basically handle the rest. At first, it was pretty slow, but that's because I only had a little bit of money to actually invest. I would have budgets of around $10, $15, and $25 a day, and that's how much I'd spend on each ad. If the ad didn't return any sales, I would pause that ad and move on to a different surname and a different audience. For each surname, I created a different Facebook page. I know it sounds crazy, but I had over 100 different Facebook pages. It was absolutely mental. Each ad was targeting a different name, and the ads were going viral. Like, I'm not kidding, they were going viral. Everyone was liking and sharing, and most importantly, they were commenting. But they weren't just commenting with, oh, this is so cool, oh, I need to buy, oh, I like this. No. Because I was targeting people's surnames, they were commenting their entire families. They were being like, you've got to check this out. And then they would tag every family member. So each comment had like 10 or 15 different family members being tagged, which was allowing these ads to go bonkers, completely viral. The more money I was able to make, the more money I was able to spend on ads. It got to a point where I was spending around $500 a day on single ads. It was just an insane time for me. I was waking up to tons more sales.
Hey guys, wake up, it's Christmas!
Every 10 minutes I refreshed the page, there would be more sales. Honestly, it felt just crazy. I was finally proving everyone wrong. Coming home early from studying abroad was a good idea. I was using Teespring as the print-on-demand company, and back then they had timed campaigns that had to reach a specific goal in order to get printed and shipped out to the customer. So it wasn't very on demand for print on demand. For example, I'd create a design, and during the creation process, I'd select, yes, I'm going to sell 50. Now, in order for it to print, I'd actually have to reach that goal in the timed period that that campaign was live. I'd have to reach that goal of 50 in order for it to get printed. Otherwise, everyone just gets their money back. Now, you could set a goal of 1 and be certain, you're gonna get that sale, but the lower the goal, the lower your profit margin. It was a bit of a game really, because you could set a goal of 1 and be sure you're gonna hit it, but you'd have a very low profit margin and you might not make any money. Or you could set a goal of 50 and you could get 49 sales and just not hit it, but you could probably buy the last one yourself. But you know what I mean, right? It felt like a bit of a game and a bit of a gamble as well. But 3 months in, when it all started to feel like it was too good to be true, and I mean, I had hit a sweet spot, it literally felt like I was printing money, it all went to It started with Facebook banning my advertising accounts. And apparently this was a very normal thing. I didn't know what to do. I totally freaked out.
Screamed at my boss, I quit my job!
I mean, it was great, and the thing is, it had only been 3 months. And if it all just stopped there, yes, it would have been a great 3 months, but what the hell do I do next, right? It would have been such a massive failure if that's just where it ended. I fought for about a month to get my advertising account back from Facebook, to unban it, but there was no luck. There was absolutely no luck. So what I had to do was create a second advertising account and continue. But at that point, it was just too late. Facebook had now banned the use of any scraping tools and any type of targeting that was like this, where you targeted people's specific surnames. So that money train was over. No more ultra targeted ads, no more name t-shirts, back to the drawing board. However, as well as being incredibly nervous about the future and trying to make something of myself, I also felt a huge sense of achievement, because I had clearly made the right move. If I would have waited to the end of the year after studying, come home and started this, it would have been too late. Clearly, the opportunity wouldn't have been there anymore. There would have been no targeting names. There would have been no scraping tools, none of that. So that nagging voice in the back of my head saying everyone was right, you made a mistake, it was stupid, go back, what are you thinking of, what are you doing? Well, that nagging voice had finally shut the hell up because I had proven everyone wrong, I had done it, and now it was just about figuring out what to do next. As it stands, it had been around 3 months, and I had spent around $12,000 on advertising at that point in time. And in terms of revenue, I had made around $45,000, which left me with a total profit of $33,000, which I was chuffed about. That was sick. I was a 19-year-old kid who had just started their first business. I was happy. This was amazing. And honestly, to me, this was a huge success. My first business out of school after many people, including my business teacher, told me I would fail, I'd amount to nothing, I should get a normal job. I was pretty psyched about that win. But it wasn't over yet. I couldn't leave it at that. It was still 4 to 5 months before my friends came back to the country from being abroad, so I had to figure something out and I had to make something else work. And after I could no longer advertise names, I started to think of other things I could advertise, and I decided on 2 different things: creating designs that targeted jobs and targeted locations. Facebook ads was still the best advertising platform at the time. You could go so laser targeted. No, you couldn't target people by their surname anymore, but you could still target people by their jobs, their interests, their genders, their age, their demographics, they married, kids, all of that kind of stuff. So I made 2 designs, one for your hometown and one for your job. Unfortunately, the location-based designs totally failed because it just seemed that people didn't want to walk around advertising where they were from. That's fair, I guess. However, job titles was a pretty big hit. So I just repeated what I had already done. I created around 50 different designs for 50 different job titles. I then created 50 different Facebook pages and advertised all of these job titles and just continued advertising the ones that worked. Literally hundreds of different ads to find the sweet spot, to find the ones that would make the most money. Some worked, some didn't work, but at the end of the day, it was nothing like before, and the amount of work to upkeep it and do all of that, it just didn't really seem worth it anymore. I just had to make it work. I was becoming desperate. And I took 3 new courses, a course by Ben Adkins, another course by Donald Wilson, which was Facebook Ads Cracked Part 2, and a 3rd course that I just can't for the life of me remember what it was called. It was a weird name. And at this point in my life, this is when I realized that most online courses are in fact a waste of time and are just terrible. I felt totally lost at this point. Yes, I had made good money, and these job t-shirts also made pretty good money. I had ad spend of around $6,000 and I made revenue of $10,000 at the time, or around 10,000. So I did have good profit of around $4,000, but it was nothing like before, and it was only getting slower and slower and slower. I didn't really know what to do. I thought I was set. I had never made money like this before in my entire life. I had never been taught how to handle money or what to do with it. And I spent most of it on stupid stuff I don't even remember, stuff that had no impact on my life. And not a single business class or school class had taught any of us what to do with money, how to invest it, pensions, how to manage it, literally nothing. It was now around May, and it had been around 4 months since coming home, so this has all happened really quickly. I had had a lot of wins, I had had a lot of downs just from spending the money and also just feeling completely alone most of the time, but I wanted one more win. I wanted one more big win. And around this time, it was Father's Day, specifically in the UK. And what I decided to do was make one really cool Father's Day design, one that I thought was going to be a huge hit. I had researched it, I had planned it, and based on the news, based on everything, it just felt like it was going to be a really good design. And it did amazingly. The ad went totally viral and I ended up bringing in around $15,000 from this one design. Probably the best one I've had yet. I only had a measly spend of around $5,000 on advertising, which means I had profited 10 grand. It was huge and it was just a brilliant stepping stone for what was to come next. But at that, I decided to leave print on demand for a while. I have since gone back to it, but that was many, many years later. All in all, I had made around $70,000 with an ad spend of around $23,000. So a total profit of around $47,000. I think I had proven my point, and I think I had proven my business teacher wrong. I was cut out for business, I was cut out for the entrepreneur life, and I was cut out for making something work. Does this still work 7 years later? Is print on demand still a viable business? Well, print on demand has totally changed. And if you're still stuck in the past, trying to make it work as it once did, I don't think you're gonna get any sales. I think it's super important to adapt with the times. And now, print on demand is very much about gift giving, personalization, focusing on themes, and most importantly, focusing on audiences. Audiences that will buy your products rather than relying on organic sales from the marketplaces or relying on things like Facebook advertising. So yes, it does still work, but it's definitely a lot harder. It will take a lot more time to see results, and I would say rather than it being a main job at first, it would be treated more as a side hustle, and then when it starts making money, it can overtake your normal main job or your normal main income. But that was my story, and if you do want to ensure that you don't fail with print on demand in 2022 and I guess the end of 2021, then definitely go and watch this video because it will give you so many more ideas on how you can make money with your print on demand business rather than just relying on the classic I'm gonna sell t-shirts. So definitely go and check that video out.